everyone. We're back with another episode of Astrology Now. And Babula's going to kick us off with, I guess, or maybe you're going to give us a bit of the background, I don't know, but we've certainly got the full moon in Cancer coming up. So, yes, what do you want to say about that, Babula? Are we going to be too sensitive, too sooky? Do we want to sort of under the bed covers? Are we going to be needy? You know, like, what is it?
Well, they're very good questions. Well, I seem to feel like a bit like a broken record lately, but yeah, this full moon is another doozy. And the full moon itself will occur Brisbane time on the 18th of January, which is Tuesday in the morning, around 9:45 is the exact moment. So, you know, we're in that phase now where the light of the moon, of course, is growing bigger and bigger and bigger. And she comes to that peak of fullness then. And she'll be at 27 degrees of Cancer. So roughly this time every year, when the sun's moving through Capricorn, at some point the moon will come into the opposition to the sun and make the full moon in Cancer. So this is a thing that happens every year. Lots to say about it, because this particular one happens to be lining up very closely, almost exactly, with our friend Pluto, the Lord of the Underworld. So
you had to say it, didn't you?
I know. So he really packs a wallet. But let's talk about the Cancer Capricorn story, because this is super interesting. I mean, you know, of course, we could be here for the next 3 hours really unpacking it, but these two signs are opposite each other, of course. And one of the things that we see with Capricorn, how Capricorn can manifest, is that in the world, you know, it represents our ambitions and striving to achieve, to accomplish goals in the structures of the world we live in the political arena and the finance arenas and business and corporate arenas and those things. It represents that really hard-nosed, completely lacking compassion, ruthless, ambition and drive to be on top of the mountain no matter what. So I'm talking about the really negative, expression of it. That's right. And what's happened is that over centuries and millennia actually, that energy has become quite condensed, dense and rigid. And it's control at all costs.
Don't we know it?
And don't we know it? And anything goes, you will obey. It's that this is Capricorn at its most dense and rigid. And in the body, even in medical astrology, Capricorn and Saturn, its ruler, have got a lot to do with calcification and rigidity and stiffness and aging, that kind of contractive energy.
So if we're breaking a bone or something, that might have something that would be in the back.
That's right, because, Capricorn is the bones, the knees in particular. Now, Cancer, the opposite sign, I mean, if someone's very Capricornian and very much in alignment with what I was just saying about Capricorn, and I know some beautiful Capricorn souls. So if you're a beautiful Capricorn, please don't take offense. I'm talking about the really hardcore expression of the negative side of it. From that Capricorn's perspective, Cancer looks weak, helpless, emotional, like a helpless little child that must be given rules and regulations and told what to do and must obey or there'll be punishment. So this is the polarity, and it's very interesting. I was reading a piece just this morning, actually, that was really talking about this, and I thought that's exactly, if we look at in the political world, for example, or people who give everything to their business or their company and virtually nothing to their personal life, their feeling life, their home life, their family life. And most of us have probably met people like that. They just neglect everything else. Because they see the Cancer energy as just being, like, it's too weak and soft and emotional and a bit pathetic, and they're like children. So the Capricorn.
No offense.
No, I have Cancer moon right at the same degree. But it's that kind of dynamic of the parent, the headmaster, the teacher, the boss, the rulers of the world, treating everybody else like children, and the children looking up to these people as, well, I'll do what you tell me. Just save me, look after me. Yes. So there's this whole thematic around Cancer Capricorn to do with parent-child on so many levels. You know, and isn't it interesting?
Yeah.
And I think one of the main issues on that psychological level and energetic level with Pluto going through Capricorn slowly for all these years is that humanity is being confronted with that reality of, am I a child or am I a grown-up?
Yes, that absolutely, yeah.
You know, and am I looking
child or the adult?
Yeah, am I looking to these external authority figures to take care of me? You know, so how old am I actually? And those authority figures, have they completely disconnected from their inner child? I'd say most of them have.
Yeah, but inherent in that, you know, look after me, take care of me, save me, all that sort of stuff. In that, though, is the reality, which is what Capricorn's all about. The reality is,
yes,
you know, people are asking themselves, well, who am I really? Am I that weak and pathetic and, you know, not useless?
Well, to Capricorn, it looks like that.
Yes, but, you know, how much power do I have in my life? Yeah,
that's right. So when you get a full moon, the two signs in opposition are both highlighted by the sun and the moon, and we're having to look at, where am I in this polarity? You know, on this we talk about spectrums. You know, where am I on this spectrum? Am I finding in myself a balance between my own in authority and my respect for certain parameters and guidelines, without giving all my authority and power away to that external thing? And in, you know, like the worst of Cancer, if you like, and I don't even like using the word worst, but I'm talking about Capricorn and Cancer in their more negative expressions. It does collapse into a kind of a fetal state. And I'm not saying sometimes we need to do that and crawl under the blankets and disappear for a day or so, but it can live its whole life in that fetal position and feeling helpless and giving away all power, you know?
Yeah.
But at its best, Cancer is actually the wise mother. It's the nurturing principle that knows about self-care, taking care of those near and dear. And if you integrate Capricorn with that, it's being a grown-up about it and taking full responsibility and being that, you know, it's the real parent, you know, like a full mother, father, parent, best sense of the word, you know, taking responsibility and being nurturing and caring.
That's the age that we're coming into, I think, because for us to be a fully matured civilization, we each have to take personal responsibility. We have to stop giving our power away to others. And we've seen that over time, haven't we? We've seen that with medicine, with our health.
Yes.
We wanted to take that back into control and go back to herbal remedies and supplements, all those sort of things. I'm seeing it going through education institutions, you know, like, and questioning, what are you telling me? Is that real? Like, is that, you know, maybe I better go do my own research about this sort of thing. A whole plethora of things in the strata of society.
Yes, and I would include technology in that, you know, like I had a thing happen yesterday because Mercury turned retrograde. We'll definitely talk about that because it's a doozy as well. This incredible frustration, which, you know, I'd set up an automatic payment, which I don't like. I always like to receive my bills and pay them myself online. I do it online, but I like to pay it myself. And somehow it got set up automatically when I moved house and so on. And the payment didn't go through. And then I spent like an hour getting so frustrated trying to sort this out. And the frustration of that I remember when all these things were so simple. And you didn't have to waste all this time trying to, troubleshoot these stupid, ridiculous technical issues that shouldn't even be happening in the first place,
Yes.
And
Yeah.
it's that sense of there's this external system that has somehow taken over everything.
It has. AI is on the internet. It runs the internet.
We don't even have control over our computers anymore because it does automatic updates whether we like it or not.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I don't want an update, but
yeah.
you don't have a choice because you don't know
You're not the boss of me.
because you don't know what they're doing when they do these updates.
Absolutely.
You don't have any control over it at all. So all those things, and then we can collapse into a Cancerian emotional mess, and just I don't want to deal with the world at all, or we can, so these are kind of very interesting themes and energies that arise with this combination.
Yes, yeah, interesting, isn't it?
And the fact that Pluto's in the mix, well,
makes more powerful.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it does. And so for anyone who's got planets in those last few degrees of Capricorn or Cancer or Aries or Libra, which are square to this, this full moon is quite a high energy, impactful one in particular. And Pluto's always about death and rebirth, endings, new beginnings, transformation, power. It's a strong one.
And when you throw in the other aspects with Cancer, like it's because it's an emotional sign.
That's right.
And it's highly psychic. And it's mysterious too, I think.
And it's what? I missed that last bit.
Mysterious.
It is.
Yeah.
It's ruled and governed by the moon and the tides and the seas and the sea. I mean, it's not oceanic in the Pisces sense, but you think of, like, I often think of Cancer as like the seashore. The crabs, they sort of live on land and the water. And I've noticed over the years, I've met throughout my life many men who love going out on boats and love to fish. And they're very often Cancerian. It's like they're drawn to be with the mother, the waters.
Yes, well, my father was a Cancerian, and he was a keen fisherman, and he worked as a salvage worker, as a scuba diver. At one stage, and he was a dredge master. So and then by the ocean.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So
a true Cancerian.
Yeah, that's really amazing. It's a sign of the crab, and so there's this really interesting dynamic between Cancer and Capricorn, which is being highlighted right now. And I think these are good themes to be looking at in ourselves, not only in the world around us, but how we, respond to all these situations. And a lot will be going on in people's family lives and home front over this full moon.
I'm just fixing my camera. I've gone a bit crooked. I'm not really crooked, but there you go.
Well, maybe a little bit. Maybe you are.
A little bit curly here and there.
Yeah.
So what else have we got? Just power pack, another power pack month, I suppose.
Yes. Well, just before I leave the full moon, I've mentioned this off and on, I think, over the months, but many who follow astrology are probably aware that this is a big year for the United States. I'm just going to touch on this because they have Pluto in their birth chart from the 1700s at 27 degrees of Capricorn. And throughout 2022, Pluto is going to return that nation's natal Pluto, which only happens every 246 years.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. And because this full moon is right on that degree, watch this space.
Yes, I've been waiting, counting down the days until all this.
Yeah. So February is the first exact hit when Pluto, but it's already built. There's already so much going on, but we're going to see some interesting things happen.
Yes.
Throughout the year. So I'll just backtrack a little bit and speak about something that's currently happening. On the 14th of January, our good friend Mercury, he's a swift of feet and movement, turned retrograde. And every time that happens, you can hear a collective sort of almost groan around the world. Oh, God, not again. Here we go. He turned retrograde at 10 degrees of Aquarius. So
Yes.
Mercury does very well in Aquarius.
Yeah.
You know, it's Mercury is the mind and communication and ideas and things zapping around on the airwaves, and Aquarius is an air sign that's got a lot to do with mind and so on. Returned retrograde, making an exact square to Uranus in Taurus. Now that is a cracker because it's so electric.
Yes.
And when a planet, especially these fast-moving inner planets, turn retrograde, I've learned to pay attention to the chart of that moment when it turns retrograde and what's going on with it, because that will sort of, it sort of gives the imprint for that whole retrograde period. So it's Mercury retrograde in Aquarius squared by Uranus. And if we're paying attention to what's going on, you know, in the world and through messaging and media and including alternative media, I mean, there is so much happening, and it's happening at lightning speed.
Yeah.
Changing.
Absolutely, all the time. We've been through this before. We went through this sometime in 2020. Everything was happening really, really fast.
Really fast. That's right. Like just lightning, the blink of an eye, and it's changed, and it happens suddenly. You know, think, oh, and you know, I'm getting people saying, "Have you heard this has just happened? Have you heard?"
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And I had a friend. Yeah, like I was, because last time we spoke about this aspect, and I think we may have done it off screen. You were saying how it could also be volcanic activity, and we just had that underwater eruption in Tonga, and there was a tsunami warning put out, but it wasn't. It was only 30 meters high, so it was no problem. But you go. You know, there's
that's right. It's
eruption.
exactly. I mean, I hadn't heard that particular one, but it is classic earthquake energy. And you know, when astrologers study the history of major earthquakes, that's the kind of thing you'll see all the time. So yeah, it's and
I think before you go on though, that's also sort of like Aquarian thoughts out of the blue, like inspiration.
Yes.
You know, like you get like the light bulb goes off. You go, and
that's right.
You know, you say so. And I did that with the group that I'm in, an international group recently, and they said, "Oh, that sounds like a good idea." And then I went and looked at the astrology, and I thought that really fits in because it was to do with ET contact, you know.
Well, ET contact. Hello, this is the resonance.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah.
So, you know, but that's right. I think, you know, we're seeing that all over the world, people are forming new alternative communities on the ground and through, you know, using the internet and technology to connect, to meet up, but also in people's local communities. There's a tremendous movement going on now for people to connect with like-minded people in their communities and form all these little, like the flower of life, often interconnecting, you know, circles of community and connection.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is the way forward into the Aquarian age. So I can see us moving rapidly in that direction, sort of bypassing more of the old systems and structures that are going through this massive dismantling.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like sometimes I see so many of these things I can't remember them because it's a blur of Aquarian energy.
It is. You know? It is.
It's great. I love it. I love to watch it.
That's right, because those of us who are a bit wired up for that Aquarian energy was like, yeah, this is, you know, it's exciting. It's inspiring to see this, you know, amidst all the horror that's going on as well. So I think I just want to bring in, while we're on this Mercury retrograde, for those of you who are very new to astrology, this might be a little bit complicated, but I'll do my best to keep it really simple. But there's something very interesting going on right now and over these next 2 weeks, which is this phase from this full moon, to the next new moon, which will be in Aquarius. So we're really in this sort of electric Aquarian energy. So Mercury's retrograde for 3 weeks till early Feb. Venus is currently retrograde, you know, since it was roughly the 20th, 19th, 20th of December through to about the 29th of January. So the Venus and Mercury are two what we call inner planets. They, we're in the solar system, the sun's at the center. Then comes Mercury, which is closest to the sun, then Venus, then Earth, then Mars and all the outer ones. So Mercury and Venus are sort of inside the orbit of Earth, and they're really close to Earth, relatively speaking. So we regard them as sort of personal planets. They, it's to do with our feelings, our heart, our personal values, our mind, our thinking, our personal communication style, all of these things. They're both retrograde at the same time, but they're doing this interesting dance in Capricorn. And so I'm just I wrote it down because I knew I'd never remember it. So let me see if I can make sense of this in my own brain. Mercury, has turned retrograde and goes back to 24 degrees of Capricorn, which is pretty much where Venus was when she turned retrograde. Okay. And Venus will turn direct at 11 degrees of Capricorn, and Mercury turned retrograde at 10 degrees of Aquarius. So they're sort of traversing and crossing over around the same time in the same sort of area of the sky, and they are both making 3 conjunctions with the planet Pluto during this period. So it's very interesting to me. It's like we've got the Capricorn old systems and old structures, and the Aquarian visionary energy of future possibilities.
Yes, yeah.
That have been strongly, activated during this time. And then, of course, on the 20th of January, the sun will go into Aquarius. So the sun's still in Capricorn right now. So, we're sort of still in that sense of being at this crossroads, between these two worlds. And it feels like that. I was just walking into the shops yesterday, and I'm walking around, and it literally feels like human beings are living on 2 entirely different planets at the same time.
Yes. We're trying to avoid the drama, you see.
No, it's incredible. It's like there's 2 completely different realities going on parallel to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I was really sort of struck by it. I could feel it. I could see it and feel it. It's just wow.
Yeah, it's to do with different information absorbed differently by different groups of people.
And yes.
And then how they respond. And it's like that, like we've all been talking about how people have become divided, society's become divided. And the way that the, dare I say it, the pandemic restrictions are being managed and the information about it has been the tool for that.
Yes.
But you're right. But maybe, this, and what we've done is we've split, but we've, how can I say it? A group of people have individuated from the status quo, I think.
Yes.
And now they're looking back, not just like you said, because that's what individuation is, when they're away from the parent. And it has to do that to see who it is in comparison.
Yes.
Doesn't it?
That's right. That's right. And so it's like a whole different perception, because a lot of it's got to do with perception, hasn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
So we're perceiving things in different ways.
Yes.
And therefore then we have a different reality.
Yes. And it's also to do with our personal willingness to open to a different consciousness.
Yes.
In that is also embedded is our willingness to be curious.
Yes.
Yes. And some people are not willing to be curious. And this has always been the way of humanity.
That's right.
At the moment, this happens to be this particular catalyst. There will always be others. And always be, like there's still people today who think that there's a flat earth. They don't want to open their minds. Fine, just live like that, and that's okay, as long as you don't harm anybody else, that's okay.
It is okay. That's right. And I got, last year I got really curious about this because it's a real phenomenon in the last couple of years. And I thought, and someone sent me something. I thought, I'm trying to understand what that's about. Like I couldn't grasp what was the theory or the idea behind it. So I actually had to look into it. I was curious, I wanted to know so that I could understand a bit about what that was about. And it was very interesting, but I'm still in the, in the round planetary camp on that one. But I needed to check it out.
Yes.
And yeah, so I agree with you on curiosity, an open-minded person goes, oh, I need to know more about that.
I'm having a paranormal moment at the moment because my camera keeps moving all by itself. I don't know what's going on there. Anyway, go on, off you.
Oh, well, we could put it down to Mercury retrograde or...
True.
Okay, so on from the full moon on the 18th in Cancer, the very next day, Uranus turns direct. So that means currently, and pretty much for over this whole week or so, the mighty planet Uranus is stationary, having been in a retrograde. Think, just for want of another analogy, think of a train or a huge big truck or a big ocean liner or something, and it's moving forward, and then it backs up, and then in order to move forward again, it kind of grinds to a halt. So that's what the planets appear to do from our perspective. It slows right down and it grinds to a halt, and then it slowly begins to move, and it takes a while for it to gather momentum and speed and get going.
Yeah,
that's where Uranus is now. And when a planet is stationary, particularly a slow moving planet like Uranus, and a powerful one at that, its impact is very strongly felt. So what is Uranus? The awakener, the rebel, the rebellion, the desire for freedom and truth and new consciousness, and it's the revolution. So
yeah. I love that analogy that you just used, because anyone who's a driver knows that when you're driving behind a truck, you're a little bit more cautious, aren't you?
That's right.
Than that you're driving behind another car. And then if it starts to reverse, well, then you've got to get out of the way.
That's right.
Stop zone. You go, okay, what's it going to do now?
That's right.
That's Uranus, isn't it?
Yes.
To do now.
It is so unpredictable, and a bit renegade in its nature. And the universe has shaken you to awaken you is pretty much Uranus's mantra, I would say.
Yeah.
So we've said this before, and it's been very strong the last couple of years, but just right now, because of Mercury retrograde in Aquarius square Uranus while it's stationary, Uranus about to turn direct again. This Uranian Aquarian energy is very strong right now. And there is a lot going down, and things are, as we said, things are moving very fast. And as Uranus now begins to slowly move forward and gather a bit of momentum, we will see a lot of things start to happen. A lot of like breakthroughs, revelations, all sorts of disclosures, the movements of the collective humanity, and just pushing back and making the presence felt a bit stronger. Very interesting to just watch that over the coming couple of weeks.
Yeah. And I think that, we don't know where that's going to go, but neither does that Capricornian energy either.
No.
Because humans are quite Uranian themselves. They don't always know what we're going to do.
No.
What we're going to do sometimes until we do it.
That's exactly right. Respond to the moment.
Yes, yeah.
We can have all the plans we like, but with good old Uranian fashion, we've got to allow for the wild card.
Yeah.
The unexpected. And Uranus is the wild card.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, look what's happened with this, famous tennis player in Australia. I mean, what a wild, crazy story that is.
Oh, that is like a tennis match, isn't it?
It is. It's changing from hour to hour. And everyone's got something to say about it. And there's many different perspectives on, you know, how to look at it and so on. Amazing. Amazing. And shocking.
Yeah. And now I'm at the stage where I couldn't be bothered.
I know, like I'm like,
I want to put on my Uranian hat and just leave the room. Thank you very much. You know?
it's like, okay, I'm over that one now.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Amazing. Now, on the same day, and this is all around the full moon. So full moon on the 18th, 19th, Uranus is stationary direct, begins to slowly move forward. On the same day, the North Node moves into Taurus on the same day, which is the sign that Uranus is in. Uranus is in Taurus for 7 years.
Yeah.
So these nodes of the moon, the North and South Node, the dragon's head and dragon's tail, change sign every 18 months. So they've been in Gemini, Sagittarius. We've talked about that, you know, the whole theme around truth and information and media and, you know, social media and alternative media, just messages, all of those things have been in our face.
Yeah.
This change of sign and quality, these are fixed signs. So the North Node will be in Taurus the next 18 months till the middle of 23. And the South Node, of course, will be exactly opposite in Scorpio. That's a really powerful nodal story. The last time they would have been in these exact signs in that lineup was about 19 years ago. So, you know, the North Node, and we've all got North Node somewhere in our birth chart, speaks of that this is where the energy is moving forward through the energy of the North Node. In Taurus, we are going to be dealing with all the Taurian issues: money, finances, banking, land, agriculture, food supplies.
Yeah.
You know, supermarket shelves are starting to empty out. And that hasn't really happened in Australia except for toilet paper. You know, but it's starting now.
It did happen in 2020. There was food was rationed as to how many things of whatever you could buy from the supermarkets. Remember?
Yes, I think the
panic buying.
First lockdown, people rushed in and bought toilet paper, pasta, and rice, and so there were certain items that were running out.
Yes,
it's true. So these themes and all the different permutations of that. Taurus has got to do with wealth and all of the different issues around, and Scorpio on the opposite side, South Node in Scorpio, has also got a lot to do with wealth. It's ruled by the planet Pluto. Plutos means wealth, and the wealth of Pluto is often, you know, what's dug out underground, you know, gold, gems, diamonds, oil, you know, and the power and the corruption that happens around that. So, you know, the Scorpio South Node will be a lot to do with us coming to terms with the degree, the eye-watering corruption that's been going on this planet for so long, and the deep, dark secrets around money and wealth, around control, and also around sex and sexuality and all of the abuse that's been going on so long, that's now surfacing. You know, in the last 2 years, more people are waking up to this, are starting to face this. It's going on for a long time, but, you know, it's not easy stuff to face and accept that this is actually how this world runs.
Yes, yeah, it's like, you know, the veil's been lifted off it's been pulled off our eyes, you know.
That's right.
And it's been a real shock for a lot of people.
Very much.
Shocking, yeah.
But it is shocking, and I think it's very powerful. I think those, like on the 18th, full moon with Pluto, 19th, Uranus turns direct, North Node goes into Taurus. The 20th, the Sun leaves Capricorn and goes into Aquarius. So these next couple of weeks are action-packed astrologically with the planets. There's a lot of movements and alignments, strong ones going on, you know, day after day after day after day. So I think the invitation with when the North Node's in Taurus, because that's like a growth point. That's a sense of we need to go in that direction. And beautiful things of Taurus is coming to ground, coming to earth, getting grounded, growing vegetables, growing food, or paying attention to the issue of food supply and taking it seriously, you know, like, because Taurus, if you know any Taurians, and I know lots of them, they're realists, you know, and they always have money in the bank, food in reserve, a vegetable garden, you know, like they're, people would call them preppers, but it's just a natural instinct for Taurus.
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
I've got a friend who's a Taurus. I've spoken about her before, and I'm just watching because she's got Uranus going through Taurus, and
yes,
obviously like all Taurians, and I'm just watching what's happening with her life, how it's been turned upside down.
right.
Amazing, with soon to be forced to possibly leave a job, and running around going, I can't find any food, I can't find carrots.
Right.
And just saying these things to me all the time, and upset about it, really upset.
Yeah.
Obviously, because that's where Uranus is at the moment.
That's right.
Turning it all upside down.
It is. And as you say that, it reminds me that the Taurus-Scorpio axis, one of the themes has got to do with death and survival. So Taurians are often wired up, like that instinct for survival is very strong. That's why they plan so much, and they're organized, and they're thinking ahead, and they're practical and pragmatic about it, like I'll survive.
Yes.
And they take the practical steps to do what they need to do. So I think this is going to very much come to our attention. But spiritually, Taurus is also, to me, very much about becoming still, meditating, sitting outside, meditating on the ground. And think Buddha under the tree, taking the time out to be still, to literally come to ground, to come into the body, to bring beauty into our lives, whether it's through art or beautiful music, nature, flowers, but basics, really good basic stuff, to what nourishes us and makes us feel more rounded in our body, because there's a lot of wild energy moving around. We're in wild times.
Yeah, I think that's important too. Maybe we need a dose of that, because a lot of people I know say, I don't want to be here. I don't. I even saw the cover photo on yours about getting off the merry-go-round. The horses getting off.
That's right.
And I'm just thinking, everyone wants this to stop, but they want to leave the planet. People I know want to leave the planet. They've got to get back. Thank you.
Yeah.
My taxi. Where's my Uber to heaven? Where's
the next spaceship.
Yeah, my cosmic Uber, please. And it's almost like they're driven to. They feel they can't stand the insanity of the situation, various situations anymore.
Yeah.
I think that's, so a lot of people are living partly outside of their body. They're living in a,
yes.
What's the word I want to say? Disassociated state. Yeah. And with that Mercury thrown in there, that's going to really, I think, enhance that a little bit too, because, things are happening so swiftly. Even if they wanted to fully ground, sometimes it's difficult because all this other stuff is going on around you,
That's right. That you have to deal with in the moment,
because
something's happened. That's right.
Yeah. But there is a lot of, I've got my own little tribe that we get together every now and then, and we just sort of sit, when we all arrive, we go to the park, we have a picnic, and we just sit there.
That's right.
So, whoa.
That's right.
What's happened in the last 2 weeks for you, so.
That's fantastic.
We all purge about it, but the great thing is, there's been some days that are very cloudy and possibly rainy, and I've said, some of us said we can come to our place, whatever. But the feeling is, no, we want to be out on the ground, in the park. We want trees. We want to have our feet on the ground. We want the fresh air. That's that very Taurian energy, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. And so on the 19th, I've noticed with these movements, sometimes you actually feel an energetic shift. You can feel it, and suddenly there's an impulse to do something, or you just get up and you go, oh, I have to go in the garden and prune that tree I've been thinking about, or weed that garden bed I've been thinking about for the last few days, and suddenly you just do it because something's moved, and we're energetically just responding.
Yeah.
So I would really recommend that for everyone, as much as it. For those of us who live in cities, that's sometimes a little challenging, but to really even just having a bath and just stopping and just soaking in a bath for a while, whatever it takes to slow down, to stop, to breathe, to feel your body, have massages.
Yeah, that's good. And meditate is another thing.
Meditate, and just whatever techniques, or even just basic sitting, and just letting yourself breathe and just feel yourself and let that energy drop. That's often what I do, is I just sit and stop and just wait and watch for my energy. That might be a bit up like this because I've been busy. Just let it settle and just let it drop and drop and drop. Oh, it feels so much better. Yeah. So there's a lot. And then, having said all of that, then the sun goes into Uranus. So I'm into Aquarius. So, that will kind of bring in this really high energy as well. I mean, it's like there's so much going on in different ways all at the same time. We're dealing with so much. We're processing so much on the inner and the energetic and in the outer. We're being stretched, which is about growth of consciousness, ultimately.
Yeah, it is.
Just stretched and stretched and stretched.
Yeah, it's a bit like a rubber band. You hope you don't snap. That's the thing. If you're starting to feel like that, then just stop, no matter what.
Stop.
And I think it's really important to, if you're working for somebody else, to have a mental health day when you get to that state. That's right. Yeah, absolutely. We have to, and there's your Cancer full moon. We have to take care of ourselves in the midst of it. And sometimes and withdraw and just take time out. Yeah. Nano naps are good. I had one of those yesterday.
Yes, I did too. It's amazing how much even 10 or 15 minutes just lying down in bed and closing your eyes and maybe drifting off, it can make so much difference.
Yeah.
Simple thing like that.
Yeah. Or power naps if you have less than 5 minutes.
That's right. So then on the 24th, there's another movement because Mars leaves Sagittarius, a fire sign, and goes into Capricorn. So the Capricorn, every time something goes into Capricorn, we're back, that energy being highlighted again. And that it's such a strong theme for these times, the Capricorn story. So Mars actually does very well in Capricorn, which might sound odd because he's such a fiery planet, he rules Aries and Scorpio. But we say in astrology that Mars is exalted in Capricorn. He's like an honored guest in this sign. It's as though his energy and drive can be put to good use. People who are born with Mars in Capricorn often have a very strong drive. They're kind of unstoppable. They achieve a lot. They accomplish a lot, get a lot of work done. These are the things that we can do. Like while it's in Sagittarius, it's full of excitement. Oh, I want to do this and I want to do that. And I'm making plans to go here, there. And, it's excited and high energy. When it gets into Capricorn, it's like, okay, I've got work to do. To, knuckle down and get focused on whatever is the mission, the goal. A really good time for anyone who runs their own business or does their own individual independent work like you and I do, to start kind of putting plans into place and setting up whatever structure we might need for that, Yeah. Get organized, and it's great because the energy will be there to do it.
When is that? On the 20?
On the 24th.
Oh, that coincides with the online meditation class that I'm starting.
Fantastic. Fantastic. That's perfect, actually.
Yes, it is, yes. So anyone who needs any meditation instruction, it goes for 4 weeks from Monday the 24th, 7 p.m. Brisbane time.
Perfect. Absolutely perfect. I love it. And then Mars will be in Capricorn for 6 weeks. Yep. So we'll have 6 weeks to really, get focused and organized. I mean, I've just moved house, and it's been a major move in so many ways. And we've done a lot, but there's still more. And I can feel that when Mars goes into Capricorn, I just know that I was going to go, right, right. Just, there's things that still
This is it.
This is it.
This is it. Take myself by the scruff of the neck and
get on with it, because the energy will be there. It'll just happen, actually. So, let me see. Then on the 29th, Venus will turn direct. So she will have completed her 6-week retrograde phase. I was trying to remember the length of time. Her 6-week retrograde phase, and she will slowly begin to turn direct again. And on the same day, Mercury retrograde will be conjunct Pluto. Remember, I said Mercury makes 3 conjunctions with Pluto because of retrograde. This is the retrograde one. So that'll be quite a strong day too, and it's very Capricornian. Which brings us to the 1st of February. Which again is another doozy, which is a technical course. It's at 12 degrees of Aquarius, conjunct Saturn and square Uranus. And it's a real reflection of this Mercury retrograde, conjunct Saturn and square Uranus. So because the new moon is pretty much at very close to the degree that Mercury turned retrograde. So so that energy is still quite strong of push and pull, clashing energy.
I'm listening to all this and I'm feeling like a bit more subdued today. I'm just feeling like, oh gosh, 2022.
I know. When will this all be done?
Yeah, and it's just, and I'm thinking there's all this year to go, and then this next year we get a bit of reprieve for a few months in the middle of the year, and it's not until is it sometime early 24 that Pluto actually goes into Aquarius, and we're left to clean up the mess, basically.
I know. There just is still a lot to get through until he's finally complete with Capricorn. So a great deal is going to continue to happen. But I think, and that's why in the beginning of this, in 2020, some people were saying very wisely that this is not a sprint, it's a marathon. We need to pace ourselves, take care of ourselves.
Yes, take care of ourselves, absolutely.
Yeah, and recognize that, when we just need to take a break in whatever way that means for everyone, just take a break. Step back.
I agree. And that comes back to that Cancerian energy, doesn't it? Just nurture ourselves as much as we can.
Like there's a wonderful woman that I like to follow on Facebook. She's an artist, and she posted something the other day which is beautiful. I shared it on my page this morning, actually, and one of her comments was she was saying everyone's just got to do what they need to do, and at the end it was like, whatever, it's, if for you right now it's storm the castle, go storm the castle. If you need to make a blanket fort, go snuggle under your blankets. It's just whatever we need to do at any given time, and it changes. Some days we're storming the castle, some days we just need to lie down and just be quiet.
And that's okay. And I'm glad that some businesses are, some organizations that employ people are starting to allow for that, or make room in their management to recognize that people just can't go, particularly not under circumstances that we're living in today, because it's a very different world.
It is, and there's a lot of pressure and stress, and it's been a very difficult time. That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I do think that it's important to do some sort of practice.
Yes.
Meditation or yoga or Tai Chi or gardening or walking, or
that's right.
Just sitting and chilling out and making that your me time.
That's right.
To look after yourself.
Yeah.
And I think as time goes on, we're going to need more. We
are.
Because this is a compounding effect.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Yeah, our nervous system just becomes too frazzled after a while.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's such an individual thing for everyone to learn about, their own systems and bodies and energetics and what each person needs. Yeah. I know it's been a lot, and it's not over yet.
Not by a long shot.
An ever-changing story too, which is a lot for us to cope with, but it changes.
But I'm glad that we can get together and have these conversations, because there's nothing better than a heads up, because you prepare a little bit. You go, oh, okay, this is coming. Or you can go and look at the astrology and go, that's why that happened. And there's something inherent for humans when they know something, or they know something in advance, or they know why something is happening, they endure it better.
That's right.
They don't know. And I've read psychological studies on those sorts of things. And, it's people need to feel that they're in the driver's seat, number one, that they're prepared and that they can face what's coming. But they also need to be reminded that they've lived a life to this age so far. And we've gotten through a hell of a lot of other things that were even more difficult.
Yeah.
This is more a psychological virus that's going on.
Yes.
Rather than it's affecting people physically, but people always get viruses. That's right. Being human, it's a biological process.
That's right.
So, and some people live and some people die, and that's just life. That's the reality of it. But this whole situation that's going on, I feel like everyone's walking around with a mushroom cloud of atomic explosion around their head, and that's what they're coping with. That's what they're trying to deal with on a daily basis. And then another bomb goes off and another bomb goes off. And you can only take so much of that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
And a lot of people have withdrawn, haven't they? Many people I know say, I don't watch the news anymore.
That's right.
Just don't. Yeah.
That's right. Which is quite wise, actually, to turn that thing off. And that's why I think, remember this Taurus North Node period now that we're coming into, that's going to be extremely helpful. If we can really connect with the positive qualities of Taurus, and if people aren't sure, just go online and have a look at, what's Taurus about. I mean, yes, it's got a shadow side, every sign does, but the beautiful, think Gaia, earth, abundance of nature, beauty. Yeah.
It's a problem of the Western civilization, isn't it? Because people who live in the deep, dark depths of the Amazon, for example, they don't go, oh, we're going to run out of food, or where's our drinking water, or all these sorts of things. How are we going to feed ourselves? It doesn't even come into their thinking that or provides for them all the time.
That's right.
I mean, possibly they have, seasonal changes that affect them now and then, but these people have evolved and live in those situations. And because Western society has separated itself from that, that's been the problem.
That's right.
That Taurian energy for us to go out and plant our veggies and grow our citrus and all those sorts of things, I think that's been really healthy for our Western civilization.
Really healthy to come back to something really basic. And I'm actually noticing and seeing that many people are saying things like, I really don't know anything about garden, but I've started a garden. I bought some, that's actually happening, isn't it?
Yeah. And that first year, if you haven't done it before, it's just about you're experimenting and you're learning.
That's right.
You get better and you know what you're doing. I won't do that again, or I will do this,
That's right.
And then the third year you go, wow, I'm just getting the hang of this, you know.
That's right. And it's so satisfying and exciting, you know, when you know, your tomato plant actually grows tomatoes. I mean, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, and your lemon trees produce lemons, and
That's right. And you go and pick a lemon off your own tree. It's fantastic.
Yeah, and it's good for the stress.
It's very good for stress. That's right. Just weeding. I love it. You know, I went out the other day. I'd had a really frazzled couple of days. And I just went outside and got sun on my body, and I just stood there and just pulled out weeds. It was heaven. It was beautiful.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah.
So, people, that's what these are some of the things that you can do.
Yeah.
Was there anything else that you wanted to say?
No, that's pretty well covers it. I think that's
enough. That's a bucket load. That is.
That's plenty.
So it's like that every month, and at times, actually most of the time. Every now and then we get a little bit of alleviation of that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's the last couple of months astrologically and this month have been particularly strong. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if you enjoyed this episode and you've stayed with us till this time, please, if you enjoyed it, please like the episode and remember to subscribe to the channel and tap the bell so that you get notifications when we upload the next episode. So thank you, Babula, again for all your knowledge.
Pleasure as always.
Sharing it with everyone, and thank you everyone for joining us, and we will see you again next time. Bye.
Bye everyone.